Overwatch just dropped the gameplay trailer for the newest support hero Lifeweaver, and he honestly feels like a character that could define the meta, at least at a high elo. I know this had all leaked earlier yesterday, but I wanted to wait a bit to confirm that the leak was accurate, and also just to see exactly how the abilities would work better before making an early analysis on his kit. Also, please subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Thank you. Alright, now first things first, let's get this out of the way. He's really hot. Secondly, going into his primary fire, it seems like his damage and healing will be separate weapons, similar to Torb and Mercy, who have two weapons that you swap between with the scroll wheel. Because honestly, I don't know how they're going to give him 3 different abilities without having to bind one of them to the secondary fire, which will likely be Rejuvenating Dash, similar to how Tracer's Blink is on both secondary fire and Sif. But honestly, there's not much to talk about in regards to his primary fire, as the gameplay trailer doesn't show us the HUD, so we can't make any observations on what his damage and healing will look like, or even confirm if it is a secondary fire or if it is a weapon swap like I think it will be. Moving on to Rejuvenating Dash, in the trailer it looks like it will function very similarly to Tracer's Blink, with him being able to store 3 charges of it, as in the trailer he uses it 3 times in the span of a few seconds. Honestly, as an ability, this seems incredibly strong. The name also makes it seem like it will function as a form of self-healing for Lifeweaver, in addition to functioning as mobility. But as the trailer doesn't show any HUD elements, we can't really tell for certain. But if it does heal, then it seems pretty damn strong, since it's both self-healing and mobility in one. It will make him very survivable against a lot of threats, since even just a small amount of healing will break damage breakpoints against heroes like Cassidy, where it will take an extra shot in order for them to eliminate Lifeweaver. Next we have the good old trolling ability Life Pull, which honestly seems pretty insane. In the trailer they show him using it to save a Symmetra that got punched off the map, and I've seen a lot of people talking about using it as a defensive life-saving abilities to pull your teammates back to safety when they overextend. But honestly, I don't think that is why this ability will be strong, and if that's all it did, I don't think it would be super great. Rather, I think that it has insane potential to be used in really stupid, aggressive strategies, especially in conjunction with damage ultimates. For instance, imagine you have a Reaper ult. Reaper teleports behind the enemy team, and then he ults. Then the enemy team Rhine blocks them off, or the Risa starts spinning him, or he gets put into defense matrix. And then suddenly you yank Reaper with Life Pull. Then Lifeweaver suddenly Life Pulls him through the enemy team while he's still ulting and dealing damage, completely bypassing the Reinhardt or the defense matrix, just pulling him straight through the enemy team. This doesn't even account for if the shield in the ability actually functions like a Zarya bubble does and can block damage and even block stuns like Sleep and Javelin for the target as well. That could just make him even better at supporting a Reaper ult. But there's also potential use cases where you can have Lifeweaver flank behind the enemy team with his Petal Platforms and Rejuvenating Dash, while the rest of the team goes main. Then if you have a Cassie, they could high noon main, and then after a few seconds when Cassidy's built up a lot of damage, you could just have Lifeweaver pull him into the enemy backline, where he can just let High Noon go and just kill everyone who thought that they were safe behind cover. You could also do the same thing with Soldier 76, where you flick behind, get onto high ground, hide there, your team goes main, you pop Visor, Lifeweaver just pulls the Soldier 76 up to the enemy high ground, and now he's behind him with Tactical Visor. It'd also be even more insane if Soldier's able to shoot while being pulled, then that would just be even better, because now you can just get free damage while he's flying through the air, and then it's almost unreactable. You could even just use it with Pharah ult. You could have a Pharah solo barrage someone in the backline, and then you just pull them out to safety before they get deleted. That doesn't even consider if it's able to pull non-player entities like D.Va's self-destruct. You could just throw D.Va's self-destruct behind the enemy team. They get to cover thinking they're safe, and then right before it explodes, Lifeweaver just grabs it and pulls it back towards them. Depending on how the ability actually works, there's a ton of potential to use it for really aggressive plays with good team coordination, and this will make him very hard to play against. And this doesn't even take into account Petal Platform, which I honestly think is the best ability in his kit. This will synergize incredibly well with Reinhardt and Rest style comps, since it gives them the vertical mobility that they didn't have before. In particular, think of Paraiso first point. Usually it's very hard to take because of the strong high ground that the defenders have, but with Petal Platform you can just take this left side, just place it down, push your whole team up, and then they can just jump down and take high ground from them. Or on a map like Junkertown, you could use it to take this high ground, or this high ground, or this high ground. There is so much potential to use this ability to just place your whole team into a really strong position on any map. That's not even mentioning that on defense you can get some heroes like Cassidy and Soldier into really strong positions that they wouldn't normally be able to get to themselves. And you can even just combo this ability with ultimates. Like you could lift up your High Noon to give Cassidy better sight lines over any enemy barriers. And depending on how long the petal lasts, you could even use it to hide a Soldier or Cassidy in a corner high up behind the enemy team with their ultimate, and then just leave them there and wait for the enemy team to push in and have them ult from the sky behind them. This ability has absolutely insane potential depending on how long it lasts and how it actually works, and it will probably be the strongest part of his kit. Lastly, we have his ultimate, the Big Tree. Honestly, I don't think there's too much to say about this. We don't know how much it heals or if it can be destroyed or not. It could be good defensively, especially against ranged ultimates like High Noon and Visor, where you could just drop it down and hide behind it to break line of sight. It could also just be a good defensive ult in general, if it heals a large amount of HP, similar to Zenyatta's Transcendence. Probably not as much as Transcendence, but if it heals at least 100 HP per second, it will be a pretty good defensive ultimate. One potential good strat is that you could use it to body block enemies depending on where you're allowed to place it. You could just kind of pop it up in a doorway and completely block out the doorway and separate the enemy team. This could be really strong since it would also be, healing your team the whole time, and you can just take the fight and kill whoever you block off. Especially if it's indestructible, there's not much that they can do about it, but this is going off the assumption that you are able to just place it in a doorway, and I could easily see there being restrictions on where you're allowed to place it and where you're not allowed to place it, but who knows, we did not see much in the trailer. We still also don't know if the tree is immortal, if it can be destroyed by damage or anything like that. We basically know very little about it other than it's a tree, and it heals. For instance, does the top of the tree serve as a platform? If Lifeweaver places the Petal Platform next to his tree, can his team take the platform up and then stand on top of the tree like it's high ground? This seems very stupid, but it could be a very strong play depending on what map you're on and what team comp you're running. Lastly, for the second time, his passive. I honestly forgot about it because it seems so bad. It's kind of like Junkrat's Death Mines, except instead of offering kill, they offer live, and considering an enemy needs to kill him for him to drop it, it's much more likely that said enemy that killed him will be closer to him than any allies will. So most of the time this is just gonna help your enemies instead of being like a saving grace for your teammates. But then again, we don't see this in the trailer at all, so I don't even know if it's real, or how much healing it will offer, or if it will really be that impactful. Maybe they'll already have changed it so enemies can't pick it up, or maybe it offers enemies less healing than it does allies. Like for allies it'll be a big health kit, and for enemies it will be a little health kit. Anyways, that's it. As a support main, I will be making guides covering all the various strategies I can find utilizing his Petal Platform and Life Grip, so please subscribe if you'd want to learn more about that, but that will have to wait till he actually releases and I'm able to play him. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.